Egel. How you doing, Egel?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. I won't even try to say your full name. Do you want to say the full name to the audience?
Egle.
I always get
This is Egle. Yeah,
Egle.
I'm used to being Egle. This is like my middle name, so you can call me Egle if you want.
So I should go back to calling you Egle because I trade it in for Egel and,
Yes, you've tried everything, Teddy.
Yeah, and I try all these different names, but maybe starting, the good thing would be is to actually use your name given at birth as well. Do you want to quickly explain? I'm just going to share to the groups, but do you want to explain to the audience what you've been up to in the last couple of weeks, and then we'll get into your story?
Oh yeah, if you guys know the game where you hold an egg in your little spoon and you try to run as fast as you can, right? Well, I kind of feel this way because we're now, since we are multiple 7-figure company in Amazon, we're trying to exit in next 10 months, 12 months. And in this situation, you really have to pay attention to your costs. You can't really have major hiccups anymore because the potential buyer wants to see a steady revenue and profitability growth. So everything we do is in a magnifying glass. So I kind of feel like having an egg on a little spoon and running as fast as I can to have this, hockey stick graph drawn up the right way.
Yes, that makes sense. Cool. Right. I've shared to the groups. Let's take it way back. Well, not that long ago. Let's take it back to your childhood. So tell me some of the earliest memories in terms of entrepreneurship. Was you an early bloomer? Did you have influential people in your life that played a role to make you are today in terms of an entrepreneur?
I think my story is not really that traditional. I didn't really own any soda stands and I didn't sell newspapers and I didn't publish any newspapers and all those things that kids do. They organize some kind of business like things. I didn't do that. I was a kind of like really happy kid, but I grew up in a little Pullerby village. There were less than 100 people over there. And, most of those I knew, and there was really nothing going on. But my dad was super entrepreneurial. And even if there was like less than 100 people, he did basically everything he could. He managed the sewage system. He was building buildings for people. He was managing the electricity system. He had like a tractor. He had a school bus. So basically, I think a reason why I didn't get to exercise my entrepreneurial gene from my daddy is that he made me work so hard. Like I was sewing gloves to him, to his workman. I was collecting the potato beetles from the ground and we got paid by the kilo. So you kind of need to have like thousands of these little guys in your jar. And when I think back, I kind of think that I had this gene very early on because, when other girls were sticking like butterflies and Barbie dolls on their little notebooks with locks on, I actually got out pictures with people doing business and shaking hands. And I had this little secret notebook where in one side I had pictures about horses because I desperately wanted to own a horse. And if you flip it over, you can just see pictures of people doing business. And I have no idea why I did that, but I kind of felt nice. It felt something that, something is going on in the world outside my little village. So I guess I compensated the stillness and peacefulness of living by fantasizing this way.
Yeah, that makes sense. So talk to me about early childhood in terms of school. Like I've never been a fan of school, as people know. I'll probably bleat on about it too much. What's your take on it? Traditional education, school. Did you excel at school? Was it something that you were interested in?
Well, I kind of have two phases of school. When I went to this little school that had also fewer than 100 kids, it was like a home. You go there, everybody, and I was the happiest kid over there. But that was almost coming out from the Soviet era. So you have to know a little bit about the history. In Soviet times, everybody who was a little bit outspoken or entrepreneurial, they got sent away to Siberia. Yeah. So basically, our nation, I come from Estonia, got cleaned up from all the people who dare to speak up. So I was going to school at this time where like mommies and daddies were being kind of shy and quiet, and we as school kids, we just tried to fit in. So I think that's my early influence of just trying to be invisible in a way. And I don't know if it's my character trait or this is just a Soviet era gift so-called. So yeah, but for the 6th grade, I had to go to a bigger school to study English. And then my like happy school time really didn't last any longer, because at this time in the 90s, the support system for the pupils, it wasn't really over there. So something really silly happened that I don't really feel comfortable talking about because it was so silly. But it made me feel like a blackout for starting from 7th to 12th grade and even all the way to the university time. So I kind of had to, I guess that's my second really like a stand-up place where I had to take care of myself. I had to organize help for myself because there was no support system whatsoever to get me out of this hole that I dug myself pretty much myself. And just in the sake of shining a light on what happened and why it's so silly is that, nowadays kids don't necessarily sit together, but when I went to school, we were sitting together. And when I went to the 7th grade, my friends suddenly decided that she doesn't want to sit with me anymore. And I was thinking, what's wrong with me? Why doesn't she want to sit with me? And over there, I just started to figure out all the things that why I'm faulty, why I'm wrong. And I couldn't understand what's going on. I could understand something is wrong. I'm not supposed to feel this way. But I didn't know, and nobody could help me. So, okay, so how I solved this to myself. Yes, my self-esteem went down, but my entrepreneurial spirit got up. So my mom was a doctor, but she's a family doctor. She doesn't really know much about, psychology. So I told my mom that, put me to a car, drive me to a psychologist. And that was super embarrassing because I have to remind you guys, we're coming from the Soviet era. People don't talk about feelings. They hardly even hugged at this time when I was a kid. So that was like a super crazy step that I did, that I told my mom that please bring me to a psychologist. I kind of need some help. And additional to that, I started to socialize, of course, with some other girls who didn't feel so good about themselves. And at this time, some sort of, self-educational courses started to pop up.
I'm just going to quickly shut the door because the farmer is ploughing the field and all the shit's coming in. Carry on going.
Oh my God. Now, this is definitely a first time that happens in Danny's show. I'm sure you have a lot of crazy stuff happening.
Sorry about that. That's the part when you live in a village and you've got the farmer, he's harvesting, and literally it's like a well coming towards me, like a swell. And this room, I've got some now, but it would literally fill this room up with wheat or whatever it is that he's harvesting over there. So very important. Let's carry on back on this point. So from my understanding, the levels of emotion and the integration of that kind of relationship wasn't standard. Like, people didn't show their feelings back then. You were a very young girl. You had a situation where you couldn't understand how to communicate this with people in the school, because when someone stepped back and no one's showing their feelings, you didn't know how to react to that. So you went and spoke to someone professionally to get a better understanding of what was going on. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true. But something that, I was at the middle of is that I kind of know, when I look back, I understand that this is entrepreneurial spirit a little bit too, even if you don't feel so good about yourself, is that I started to communicate with other kids that didn't really feel so good about themselves or the situation or the school or whatever. So I started to gather those kids up, and we kind of sought out the first ever courses for kids, how to feel better about whatever stresses they have in their lives. And we started to go there, and that's what we did. Yeah. But otherwise, that was pretty crazy situation, because I think nobody really likes to feel bad. Nobody wants to feel depressed, but I don't feel bad about it really, because I think something that it teaches you is the depth and also the empathy and willingness to understand why people feel the way they would do. And also that, something I talked about in Branded by Women is you need contrast in your life to be able to make decisions that are going to bring you faster to the place you want to be. You need polarity. And I think that was kind of like a starting point for me to develop this kind of polarity, that I know what I want from my life. I want to achieve stuff and I want to be happy. So I know those things really clearly. And no, I am not the master of that. I think this is a lifelong journey for everybody.
Yeah. So this was, what age would you say? Put if you don't want putting an age on it, I know you're talking about different.
I think this is like a teenage, just pre-university, from 7th to 12th grade, which is, this is a teenage. So I was not an early bloomer. When you don't feel good about yourself, you don't party, you don't really do anything. You just kind of like live in your bubble and you try to survive. That's what you do.
Yeah. But obviously that was the start of something, because a lot of people don't really develop those social skills or understanding of those skills till they're a bit older, maybe late teens, etc. But you were quite young when you were, not experimenting, but you were understanding what was going on. And you mentioned earlier on, did you say that you and other people kind of done a course to help other kids to understand, to express themselves?
We try to help ourselves. And I think, I read at this time, there were coming out the first ever psychology books in Estonian as well, because in Russian time, there was no such a thing, and I just kind of bought them all. I didn't have much pocket money, but I didn't buy candy. I just bought psychology books and I just read them secretly because nobody in my family, even talked about it. So that was kind of like under the pillow secret I had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
so I remember to be like the diplomat of the family after that, because I developed like a whole set of skills from those books.
Well, they say the formative years of when you're very young, it's like when you're born up to about 7, I think there are key things that are your formative skills. And through your life, you've got subconsciously how you walk around. It's like your relationship with people, your relationship with money and stuff. And a lot of that early learning in first 7 years are very, very important. And maybe because of the culture and everything around you and stuff, that wasn't a common theme. And it's like you picked up the baton later on in life to fill in some of those gaps. Would you say?
Definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because, when you live in a small village and your parents are just coming out of the Soviet era where nobody was really allowed to own anything that's significant, you kind of want to get this anxiety away from your life. So I think if I'm just jumping to this day today, this is a reason me and my partner, we want to do an exit. Otherwise, we could just go on and on with this Amazon brand, but you want to do an exit just to get some of the anxiety settled down. And whatever you do in the future, you at least know that you're not going to end up, under any like pine tree to sleep, because you have taken care of your loans and your commitments that, having a family and stuff, it just brings to your life.
Okay, so you left school. What was the first jobs out of school you were doing?
Well, I went to the university, and the weird thing is that, I head jumped to the gene technology, and then I kind of found myself being like I don't know, out of place, because I went to these higher math classes and I felt like, oh my God, this is like Chinese to me. And why don't I understand anything? I've been, going to school for 12 years and I don't understand this thing. And I don't want to be stuck in the lab wearing white coat all day and, not being outside and doing nothing. So I kind of felt like I need to escape. So I went to Minnesota, to the United States, to be an au pair for a year, just to have a breather, learning. I think that's what every young person should do when they finish the high school. They just kind of need to figure out what do they want. And I got my feet on the ground a little bit more. And when I came back, I knew I cannot continue with this gene technology. They're just going to kill me. So I had no idea what to do. So I just applied, I was already enrolled to the university. So I just went into the journalism department and, they enroll really, really bright kids over there, kids who are passionate about politics and they want to investigate stuff. And, they're like reading police PR messages every morning for fun. And they know so much what's going on, they know all the countries by heart and definitely not me. So, but I didn't know what to do. So I managed to convince somehow this department that I know something about what's going on in life. The reality was that I wanted them to teach me what's going on in life. So I entered to the bachelor. I ended up having a master's degree in communication, which is great because I think that's what I needed. I just needed to get integrated back to life again after having a harsh school time. But the way I was different from a regular university kid was that I, again, didn't really have that much money. And I was also really, really shy with not too high confidence, but I needed money. And I was studying journalism. So don't ask me. I don't know how I ended up, but I ended up working in the morning radio station, waking up people. Like my body was covered in cold sweat every single morning, 5 o'clock when I started and 9 o'clock when I finished. I just ran to my classes and I financed my, studies this way, like over a year. And
so
thinking back to that, I don't know.
You landed the job you landed the breakfast show effectively in radio as the motivator, who was someone who was shy. And
yes, don't ask me how was that possible.
You were paid to do that. So were you paid as that? Was that because most of the time, because I'd done radio, I was on KISS FM for a few years.
Oh, wow.
And the thing is that a lot of people struggle to get into radio, and they do it for free for many, many years until they get their proper break. And normally the breakfast show is where the money pays, like that and drive time on most commercial radio stations. I never done daytime, but my point is did you, you took that on, so you pushed your boundaries there to go and do it, but you used that to pay for your education. So you got paid as a job.
I got paid. I don't know how this is even possible. I got paid, and being a shy person, I had to be funny on air, and I wish I filmed myself. I wish I knew what I was talking about. They didn't fire me, clearly, so there was something I did right. But I think what take away from here is that I did push my boundaries so much that I was so scared. And pushing boundaries as an entrepreneur is something that is basically a daily thing to do. You have to push your boundaries. You don't know. Like living in uncertainty is your everyday certainty. Yeah. And this is just an early experience from that.
So you left uni, you left the radio career behind you. Where did we go next?
Then we go to the capital of Estonia. I was in a university city before, but I went to capital of Estonia, and I really felt like I need to be somebody. I need to show what's under the skin. I've been shy all my life. Like, I can do corporate, so let me go and do corporate. I entered corporate, one of the biggest newspapers in Estonia. By secretly, I can say that I hate writing. I don't really write, but I landed the position of managing a medical newspaper in the Business Daily, which is really crazy because I have no medical education. My staff that I had to hire had no medical education. And you have those people studying medicine for 20 years. And obviously, my ambition was to prove myself. And the funny thing is that the takeaway from my corporate era is that I was trying to please somebody who is unpleasable. The corporate machine is unpleasable. You just give yourself, you give yourself, you give yourself. But if you don't know how to set boundaries, you just end up losing yourself in this machine. But it doesn't matter. What I took from there as a strength is that there was nobody in my staff that really could handle taking the phone when an angry doctor called. And it wasn't because of us, but because we were a voice for some other doctors who wanted to voice how the new treatment is going or some new ideas. And they were angry. How can you publish this? This is, they're not supposed, they're from the small hospital. They don't know what they're talking about. So I thought that, okay, this is a wonderful opportunity for me to learn how to deal with stress. So I was sitting with these men who are usually over 55. They're really opinionated. They're really egoistic. And I was just sitting basically half a day with them on the phone. I was listening to them. What I learned is that you have to mirror. I understand you're really frustrated. This must feel so terrible. You're writing this and you don't agree with that. And, I was just using all this knowledge that as a child I've been learned from
diplomacy.
The psychology.
So you're being diplomatic when you're dealing with them and listening and understanding their point of view.
Yes, and that was something that nobody really wanted to do. And I took this as advantage. And why I want to talk about it is that one of the biggest mottos of my life is that any problem is actually a opportunity in disguise. And this is huge. This is huge, because after proving myself as that I can handle extreme pressure from these doctors, of course, the subscription amounts rose. We were extremely profitable newspaper. We were like one of the most profitable departments in this place. I got offered next and the next and the next managerial positions, and I was really happy about it. But what I learned is that I couldn't hold any more managerial positions, no more than 12 months, because I just got bored. So I kind of started to feel that something is off. And also something is off when you keep burning out and you keep hiding yourself from your supervisors and bosses, even when you're in the hospital. Come on, I was like taking phone and I can't come in today because I'm having home office, and actually I was just in a hospital because my body just stopped functioning. I was so crazy, really, really crazy. And by this time I already had met my husband at this time. And he's been such an amazing person, me not being a traditional woman, going crazy in career, and from this point and understanding that corporate is not for me, we started numerous businesses from this point on.
We're going to get to those, So before we get there, let's just say some hellos here in the feed. Matt Parker says, "Hi, Danny. We spoke in Prague, girl, regarding health, and I remember your amazing vibe. Really happy to see you live and well." Ivan says, "Hi, Egel and Danny, good to see you guys." Matt here says, "Ha ha ha, shutting the door on the shit. I know the feeling." So we're talking about the combine harvester outside. It's getting warm in here. Okay, what else have we got here? I really need to read up more on psychology at the moment in reference to life and business. Do you have any recommendations on some decent literature? We've got Tiff said, "These are great tips for dealing with difficult people." Tiff, there's a lot of difficult people out there. Again, that's an opportunity. Yes. Christy, it says, "Yes, problems are opportunities." Continuing that conversation there to be solved. Yes. Right. Failure. Let's go straight in. I mean, you're a menace, like 5 businesses, and now we'll land the story where we are now, but let's walk through these 5, this fierce woman who never gave up with 5 failures, starting with failure number 1.
We come back to the polarity. Yeah. If you know what you don't want, and you kind of understand that I cannot handle corporate because I cannot handle more than 12 months and I keep burning out. So there has to be something else. So, okay, let there be something else, but you cannot have something else when you don't have money. So while I was doing corporate, I started side gigs with my husband. So first company we had was a kids furniture company. We did beds. I designed them. Ivan designed them. He was manufacturing those. I was selling those. And I remember, we had even like a little workshop set up in my dad's garage at this time, and it just didn't go anywhere. And I think that's great, because we get to learn some persistence, some marketing skills, some ways how not to give up. We made the ends meet, but we didn't really go anywhere, and then we just got tired of that.
Okay, so what was the failure there? So obviously it wasn't a devastating failure, but you got to learn along the way. What would you have said, looking back now? What would you have done differently on that business?
You know what? I don't think I would have done anything differently, because everybody who wants to go to business, they need to start from something. The biggest failure is if you never start. And we just did this furniture, those beds, and we put all our love in there. And then we just thought that, we don't want to do it anymore, because it's just like we either need to start buying machinery, or we need to do something else to be able to scale that stuff. And I was also working full time, and we also had our first kid at this time. So I did not see this, we don't have money to set up all the manufacturing and stuff. So the next step in our venture was the vending machines. Okay. So that was more for my husband, because that's more technical. He organized those machines from Italy. We got the first experience of international trade, with Southern Europeans. It's definitely not something you can compare with Chinese or Americans. They don't reply for you for weeks. Your payment terms are crazy. You get your machines like months later than you're supposed to, and things are just out of hand. But the funny thing was that he ended up filling, the chocolates and the coffee all day. And we kind of felt like this is not scalable either because the margins are not that big. And we
these are confectionery vending machines that are supplied to offices around Estonia.
Yeah.
What was the goal? I know they're vending machines, but what was the proposition of the business?
Well, the funny thing was that I was doing sales when my kid was sleeping in the car at the same time. So each time I went to do the sale, I timed it. I always called and said, I'm going to come to the lunchtime. So I was driving around the block. So my kid is going to fall asleep in the car. I don't know if that's legal or no. I don't think that's legal.
That's
but
all right.
when
we
he
won't tell anyone. Yeah,
when he fell asleep, I went in and I knew that my kid is having 25 minutes when he's not waking up. So I always needed to be sharp and get the proposition. But we provided the machines for free. So for the schools and sporting venues, just to have a snacking and a hot beverage opportunity. So, but that was pretty new at this time. So I was 20 something. I was really young. The kid was in the car. It was actually pretty hectic. But again, what to take away is that I didn't take this as a bad thing. I took this Egle, if you can pull this up, you have a kid in the car, you're a young mom, but you can do it. It's something that normal people don't do. But if you go and do it, first of all, you're going to learn. Second of all, maybe you're going to land a deal. And that I kind of had a different attitude towards situations that any other young mom would say that you're just crazy, go back to home, go have a stroll with your baby and just enjoy your life, And something that most people maybe don't know, that Estonia is actually like a heaven for young moms because the state pays you 1.5 years full maternity leave. So you don't actually have to do anything. You can just be home and your full salary is going to pop in your bank account every month. So it was actually a good time to do business because, the famine was not there in its direct sense, but we couldn't scale it. So we dropped it. We just dropped it. So
what was the difficult points of scale? What was the bit you couldn't scale? Is it because confectionery, all the charges of being delivered, then you'd have to load the machines and the logistics of it? Is that what caused a lot of the problems?
We had to, Ivan eventually didn't want to end up being a logistics and confectionery fill up guy to hold his life, and we couldn't outsource that because the margins were so thin. If we hire somebody, all the margins are going to go to his salary. So that just didn't make any sense. We did not think about it when we started, but I don't think again that this is a problem because you just got another experience and something I really.
Yeah, you learned about margins on that experience, lack of scalability. The first one was just learning how to do business, and in the end, you got bored as well. So them two, they're not. Yeah. So number 3, talk about.
Yeah. So, the thing that the kids' furniture and the vending machines, I did next to having actually a kid or a full-time job in a corporate. So I couldn't be full in. I just always felt like I left Ivan alone. We had multiple arguments about it. We didn't really know how to handle all this work. So I thought, okay, the next thing I have to do myself. And the next thing I did was having a digital marketing company. So you can see from here that all the businesses we've done, they've been all over the place. There's no consistency whatsoever. So I just want to bust this myth that you study something and you're consistent and you stay with your whatever is given to you for the whole life. No, you can just go out and go crazy. As long as you're willing to learn, just go crazy, whatever interests you.
Yes.
So, in the corporate, I was heavily educating myself because we were largest content providers in seminars, conferences, and also book publishing. In Estonia, my department was organizing all these conferences and schooling. So I basically participated in every single one. And in one goal in mind, I wanted to be as good in marketing as possible. So the next logical step was to do my own digital marketing company, which I did. And by this time, I already knew something about Amazon, but that was so early. That was 2000, I don't know, 2000 something, that if you log in, it's super scary, it's super crazy, and you kind of get lost immediately. But I already know that you have to have a little capital to start. So I was thinking that, okay, I can do that next to the digital marketing company, and then I can put my toes into this whenever I'm ready to do that. But the learning point for me from here is that I completely took myself off from the corporate payroll. And that is super, 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 super scary thing to do. And it is absolutely necessary, because this is not the first time I did that. A second time I did that is coming in the forward story. But you have to take yourself away. It's from the certainty. The only way you are going to find creative solutions in your business, how to excel and move on forward faster, is when the security cord is just cut off, and then your brain starts to work in completely different frequency. So I had all these clients. I had big tourism clients. I landed those myself. Again, second kid was born. Kid was here. Computer was here. I worked from home. I went to meetings in their place. I had a local TV tower, local maritime museum, some smaller companies. And I started to hate it. I started to hate doing the same thing, like optimizing the Facebook ads, creating content. It was just getting so similar. And it comes back to my nature that, I kind of need to do new things all the time. And I want to really do a shout out to my husband at this time, Ivan, that he handled me changing those things so rapidly. I can't change this part of my personality. I need a lot of change. And that's why I think Amazon is very good in my life, because it just gives you so many opportunities to do so many things. And we'll
get to the main Amazon story later. So we're on we're going to move between 3. Where did we wrap on 3? What was the learning
digital marketing? The digital marketing company. I think it's just to become a solo entrepreneur first time, off the security and on my own. Completely on my own. And now I go crazy again. I had a passion project. I really loved interior architecture. So I started to study interior architecture. And that was crazy, because when you have kids, when you have monetary needs, you have to service digital marketing clients. Studying is so intensive. One painting class takes you 4 hours. This is forever if you talk to any mom or any business owner. But I still wanted to do that. So I did the architecture company. I had some clients. I actually managed to scale up this revenues so well that I could live off it. And then I realized that, oh my God, money only comes in when I put hours in, and this is not gonna work out. This is not gonna work out, because I knew some interior designers being completely burned out, because even if you have some assistants, the final word still goes to the main designer, and this is never gonna change. So I had to drop it. I had to drop my passion, and I was sad, but it gave way to Amazon. And
so story number 4, or business number 4, is Amazon. And
is 5. Business number 5 is Amazon.
Number 4 then. What's number 4?
Well, first was kids, then the vending, then the digital marketing, then the interior architecture. So we have 4 companies.
Sorry, because that just blended in then. Right, so we're at the main thing. Let's talk about when you discovered Amazon. When was that? What was that thunderbolt? When was that moment when you went, I need to do this?
Oh, yeah. I needed to do this because by this time I understood already that I am not fitting in, first of all, to a regular womanhood, and second of all, to a regular corporate, workers' shoes.
Yeah.
I just can't do that. So we went to Asia, because by this time already we knew that we have to leave our home for at least 6 months, because one of our kids has special needs, and things were going so crazy for him. And that is a shout out for people who have family members with special needs. I know how hard it is. I know that can tear families apart, because the stress is just so hard. And if you try to build business from this chaos that's going on, if you are in this situation, I feel for you. I know how your life looks like. But we decided we just need to end this chaos. So we just decided we're just gonna go to Asia. We just gonna see what's out there. 1 month in one country, another month in another country, and we were living 2 months in Bali. living close to an assistant from a police department from United States. And she was selling chocolate pizza, and the revenue was 3,000 a month per one ASIN. So I was thinking, oh my God, like I need to work a full month in my digital company or my interior architecture company just to create this revenue. And she's just making this with one chocolate pizza. Like
let me so I got the pronunciation right. A chocolate pizza.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. $3,000 a month in a chocolate.
Yeah. Yes, it was. The chocolate was covered. The base was made out of popcorn, and the chocolate was poured all over it, and it was super, super, super sweet.
So it wasn't a deep pan with chocolate on. That's good to know.
No, that was like a candy. So I was thinking, okay, like she is not smarter than me, but I am not smarter than her because she's doing this and I am not. So I better look into this really, really deeply. So while living in Asia, I dropped my interior architecture company. It just had to go and started to learn. And it ended up me, doing it next to the kids. From the travel, there was no time to do that. The only window to really start just another company. And, any husband can get frustrated when your wife is just running wild like that. Like every year is something new. I completely understand. And,
But that's the question I want to get to. Like, I was going to save it a bit later, right? When you jump from one thing to another, there's two things can happen here. Is either you get bored easily and you've got no interest, and so you jump from one thing to another. But you do that also till you find your one thing. So sometimes you have to constantly experiment with stuff, and some people never get there. Like I know my mission in life, and now you know yours. But it will come to people in different times of life. So when someone says, oh, that person there, they could literally be unreliable. They could be the type of person that moved from one job to another. But also there are some people out there who are trying to find their thing. And if you find your thing, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah, I think so. And something I think my legacy to whoever is listening to me or following my story is that you don't have to stay to one or two professions or passions in your life. You can go crazy. You can jump around. You can be an architecture freak and then go to, I don't know, owning a cleaning company. And this is completely fine. I just want to break the status quo. And I think historically, we're just coming from so many status quos that we need to break. So this is just one thing, because the feedback I got from, the corporate and wherever, even from the family, is that you're crazy. Don't do that. Why can't you settle down? You have ants in your pants. Like, don't do that. And I felt like, but there's no other way. I have to do that. I have to find what really speaks to me. And that only comes by experience. So I would encourage people to have their experience.
What year was Amazon you started? Because we'll go back into the Amazon story. Was it 2015?
17.
17. So congratulations. You've stuck to something for 3 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. And it's been really, really wild ride. Really, really wild ride.
Let's get back to chocolate pizza.
Yeah, well, she was selling chocolate pizza, and I obviously felt like I talked to her and I felt like, oh my God, she's doing so many different things. She's organizing international freight. She's developing products. She's designing the packages. She's like talking to some kind of factories. I want to do that because this is like doing so many things that sounds completely off for a regular person because it is so complicated. And at the same time, I was the kid in my family that always did the puzzles with 5,000 pieces. I love puzzles. So that was a perfect puzzle, a perfect storm for me. I just dug in, and the only time I could actually dig in next to having the family and traveling and doing all those paid jobs, that was from 9 to 2, 9 o'clock in the evening to 2 o'clock a.m. So you have to find the time when you want to do something, unfortunately, which I don't really recommend, because if you take yourself off the balance, you have to pay the dividends later. And it is okay to take yourself off balance. There is no opportunity that you can focus to more than 3 things in the same time. For me, it was Amazon, family, and whatever the third one was. maybe, I don't even remember, but that was Amazon and family. So I had to teach my workouts. I had to teach my friends. I had to teach going out and having fun. I didn't have any money because, I was saving up, and everything we started to experiment with cost a lot of money. So yeah, there were times that we wanted to go to movie theater and we had ticket money for one person.
Yeah.
Or we couldn't go to cafeteria because we already been twice to cafeteria this month, and we just couldn't do that. And I remember my husband doing the sweetest gift ever. Like, we had an anniversary and we didn't really have any opportunity to go out, and he just invited me to the car, and we had this most romantic dinner in the car, and he just made this himself. So that was our made up restaurant at this time. So my point is that don't take any setbacks as a setback. Just try to be creative with that, and it's gonna be so fun to memorize those moments later, because I guarantee that the regular thing, like going to a good restaurant, you're not gonna remember that when you're 90 years old, but you're gonna remember when you were completely broke and you made yourself feel like you went to a fancy restaurant and you actually just spent $5.
Yeah. I'm going to read out some of these here. Egle is the hardest working woman, great, fearless, goal-orientated, noble, very humble. My inspiration, that's from Maria. Tiff says, chocolate pizza, tell us more, lol. Facebook user, I can really completely relate. My husband about killed me a few times till I landed firmly in e-commerce, then said amen. Tiff says again, need to hear this from Egle. Thank you. Friends and family do not support this type of behavior, but I see now you have to do what's right for you. And Christy is, Egle is unstoppable for sure. Don't try this. You have been warned. Jamie says, awesome show, guys. Right. Darkest hour just before dawn.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah. So my start of Amazon business was really, really actually hardest time of my life, because I was pregnant for the third child. And for me, being pregnant is almost like, I don't know, that there's no crazier thing, because I cannot eat anything. I vomit everything that I even inhale. So you end up vomiting this yellow thing that you have in your stomach. I don't know how it's called in English,
Bile.
but oh yeah. So you're basically doing that every day. But I didn't have time. I had to collect money. I had to finance all the Amazon things. Yes, my husband was working, but he was basically paying the mortgage and food bills. So I had to bring in money, and I was feeling so sick, so bad, so tired, and I forced every second of this half a year, I forced myself to work with my digital marketing clients. And when I had to show up for their meetings, I had to kind of put a lot of makeup on, pump myself up, because the reality was, and I was vomiting so much that I couldn't drink anything. 4 days out of 7 days, I was in a hospital. So they put this little tube into your arm, so they kind of thin your blood, because the blood was so thick from not being able to keep any liquid in, that they had to use the baby versions of the needles and stuff. And that took forever to get the liquids in. And I felt so bad. I almost felt like, and you know what, I couldn't go to sick leave either, because I didn't pay myself salary. Because paying salary, 50% goes to taxes. And I thought that I rather send this money to China. So if I think back about it, it's crazy. I would not recommend this to anybody. I'm happy my kid is okay. I don't know what I was going through in my mind. I wouldn't do that again, but I knew I had to test 4 products. So obviously I needed money. So I did baby bandana beads because of young mom. And another tip I would give, that don't go to a baby category when you're a beginner, because there's just so many women out there, the women who are just newly housewived and having babies. So they're just throwing so much money in there, and you just don't want to go crazy in this niche. Yeah. So I had the bandana bibs, and they completely failed. I even had some of 3,000 sets shipped to Estonia. I sold them to the local store. I didn't make any money out of them. Second product was a baby fitted crib sheets that kind of didn't go anywhere. I had a wrong material. I had to go for a cheaper one because the front page was populated with a cheaper material. Mine was more expensive and it was in the second place. I never got the traction. I never got the velocity up that I needed to get the sales, the organic sales. And then we tried the balance beams for the young girls who are taking gymnastic classes. And it was a foldable, portable balance beam for home practices. And that's actually was the first time that I did systematic, fun page development, like a listing development. It was so fun to actually figure out who is the buyer persona. It came out, if I went through the reviews of the competitors, that mostly the buyer of this product was a grandmother or a mother. And the main reason why they bought it is that they wanted to feel proud that their granddaughter or daughter did really well in the gymnastics class. So it was kind of like big people living out their dreams with the small people. Yeah. So, of course, you take the logic from there that you, in the picture, in the lifestyle picture, you have to have a happy mom, a happy grandmother, and then a very successful kid doing very crazy tricks in this foldable balance beam. And I think this was, for me, it was so exciting because I get to use some neuro psychology that I'm really, really fascinated about. Because in Amazon, we only have 3 seconds. So that was the first time I actually did that kind of like scientifically. And I love that a lot. But this product did not work. One takeaway for us was that it was oversized, and oversized products did not go to California. They went to the other side of the America, and that just ate all the profits. No matter what they tried to do, the shipping plan always showed something far, far, far away from Ontario 8. So it just boomed. Yeah.
So around this time, what year was this?
Well, that was still in 2017, maybe early 2018. But at the same time, while testing out all those products, I also tested out. Right now I'm in an office category. I did my first office category product, and that started to sell almost okay. Yeah, we were kind of dreaming that, we're selling 3 pieces a day. Oh my God, that's so much. Imagine if that sells 10 pieces a day. And then we figured out, oh my God, that's selling like 20 pieces a day. So we were like, we know how to do Amazon. And that's like classical story, what follows from here. You just go cocky. You just go crazy. We packed our bags. We give our 3 kids to grandmother for 3 weeks. We went to Indonesia. We jumped on this little motorcycle. We started to drive through all those factories over there. So cute, family ones. You want to give them business because it's kind of like giving back. It's a romantic thing to do. And we filled up the container with all sorts of handmade and clothing items. And just a small little error in the customs document ended up destroying the whole batch that we collected into this container. It was worth more than 25,000, so it all went to loss. Another takeaway from that was that, that was a customs error because, Indonesians, they don't really do Amazon. So you have to invent and you have to teach everybody along the way. If you do business with Chinese, they know everything. But Indonesia, everywhere else, you're in not the steady ground. A second error we made is that we repurchased.
Oh, there's more, is there? I was going to say, they're going to give you a fucking break. Yeah, go on.
We repurchased some of those products and we still brought them to Amazon, but there was 20 of them. Yeah. You cannot physically do 20 listings. This is insane. Keyword research times 20, listing writing times 20, making pictures times 20. When this work was done, the honeymoon was gone for 3 months already. So we were so done. There's no hope for those products. So basically, this is just a big minus. So we basically ended up selling our apartment just to come out from this mess. And we're still paying that apartment back because that was a lesson of being
to cover the cost.
Yes. Yeah, we sold the apartment.
So what are you now in? You were now in rented accommodation, or was that one of the property portfolio or something like
that? By this time we moved to the house already. We had the apartment, but we had to sell it. So that goes the pension fund goes from there. But you have to do that's what you have to do to survive. So 2018 was the second year in business in Amazon. We lost multiple 5 figures in 2018, launched a successful, started a successful office brand that we still are running today. But we, the fiscal year ended up in minus 14,000 euros, which is more in dollars if you want to do the math. So that was a bad experience, but also a good one, because you should never go crazy. Just be humble, be doing one product at a time. And but I know going crazy is a classical story when you have your first success. I think Athena said that she did like the yoga leggings or something and went crazy as well. So please, if you're a beginner and you listen, just don't do it.
It's so easily done. I think what people don't realize, if you've never failed before, you've got that cockiness, right? Because you don't experience enough. I'm saying this on Mindset Sunday the other day, is that I had this conversation, I think it was with Athena earlier on in the week. It's like, I've been thinking about this a lot recently, is that you learn your biggest lessons through pain. And often when something's painful, you never repeat that. You know, like you can, as an entrepreneur, you can make mistakes every day and you can recover from those mistakes as long as they're not fatal and they're not final in terms of your business. But the best way of learning, and you'll never repeat them unless you're stupid, you'll never ever repeat them again, is if you learn from pain. And you've had to go through a lot of stuff now. So you're multi-7 figures, you're getting ready for an exit. Tell us the actual remaining short window where it didn't fuck up. Because you obviously, it's taken off now. So tell us the good stuff, yeah?
Oh, yeah. So the last 10 minutes of non-fuck-up story.
Yeah.
Well, I think what we've done differently as maybe some other sellers, there's a lot of information out there that you have to test a lot of products and have to launch every quarter a new product and stuff, which is true. I think this is true. But what our approach was actually, if you have a success and, right now this one product is selling 100 to 200 units a day, which is really good. We just took this one product. We started to redesign it. We made different sets. We started to put some bundle items on it. We changed the color. We did original setups for this product, and we took this product and we brought it to Europe, to Canada. Now we're going to Australia, which is hugely successful. I had no idea Australia is so active market, because everybody says eBay is a thing over there. So what I recommend actually is that test different categories and different products until you find your golden mine. And then when you find your golden mine, just build everything, the portfolio at the top of this golden mine. Don't go crazy like selling all these different things, because you need to be an expert of your product niche. And I wouldn't want to be an expert of 5 different product niches, because trust me, I've been doing the trash bags, and even the trash bags are so complicated product that you're gonna go crazy with the thickness and the measurements and the tallness, and you are just going to drive yourself down to the grave. So find your one and do everything from there. Just copy paste it all over the world. And that's what we did. Right now, our revenue is about $300,000, very soon at $300,000 a month. And about 50% of that comes from Europe. Definitely go to Europe. Then, Canada and all the other places. So you don't need to reinvent something that's already successful. Just take maximum out of it. And another tactics that is very, very beneficial to use is that you want to dominate first page, but you don't want to dominate first page from your one brand. Because people want to choose. So it's good to have 2 or 3 different brands that don't look similar at all. So they basically look like, there's just another seller doing the same thing. Actually, just your product.
So you've got multiple brands selling the same products, but different to each other. You're just being one of the other
I'm competing with myself. Yes. And I'm also advertising under my own listings, and that works terribly well. My best PPC positions are the sponsored brands up there, where you have just the ad space and then the ASIN targeting. So those are bringing 6 times more money than the sponsored products.
And so are you going to exit all of those brands? Because as you said, you're getting ready to sell, aren't you? So we won't talk about privacy there because of due diligence and other people looking at your business. But the goal next is to take some legacy money off the table.
Well, and of course, I think to get some of the anxiety, some of the debts that we developed along the way, just get those off the table. And we definitely want to do this again. We kind of figured that once you learn the business, you can just rotate the wheel after every 3 to 4 years and do the exit and go to more like complicated, to go to more expensive niche, so you don't compare yourself with the beginners and that just throw 20,000 to Amazon just because, you know, some guru told them to do that. So you kind of going to the blue ocean instead of the red ocean, and that is a really good book I recommend everybody to read.
So are you playing for legacy or money?
Well, legacy, because women in business is definitely my heart thing. You know, the funny thing in Amazon is that the numbers get really big, really fast when they start to do that. And first it freaks you out. Then you have to kind of do mental thing that, yeah, it is okay to earn like 40,000 revenue. Oh, it is okay to go to next month is going to be 80,000. And then you're going to figure out, how the hell I'm going to finance that because I have to buy all this stock. But the numbers get big really fast. And I don't really think those numbers are big. For me, what I draw, like if I'm talking like somebody's believing in God, I have my own source. I'm just talking to my source and telling my source, please use me as a tool to put me out there for other women who are stuck in their everyday lives. You know, just use me to tell them that so much more is possible. Yes, it is not given to you in a silver plate, but so much more fun, so much more personal development, and also financial freedom to your families out there if you're willing to think outside the box, and if any problem you face is actually an opportunity.
How would you like to be remembered?
Well, if I can help other women create 7-figure businesses, if I at least can help one woman to do that, you know, I'm a humble one in that sense. And if my friends and family love me who I am, and I'm so grateful by now they have accepted me as I am. And this is the biggest gift, actually. I don't feel wrong anymore. I've been feeling wrong so long time in my life.
That's your in-depth. Well done. That is
Thank you.
A story, incredible story of persistence and a lot to deal with. So congratulations. I think you're going to inspire a lot of people out there, men and women. So well done. Very proud of you and good to call you a friend. Yes,
I'm very proud to call you a friend too. And you know, people, anybody who's listening, just come to Amazon conferences. You're going to meet me there. You're going to meet Danny there. And that's like, I think that's one of my favorite crowds out there is the Amazon people, because we are crazy, but we are so friendly, so fun, so outgoing, so supportive of each other. I just love this community that we've been built up in the last 4 years.
Excellent. Right. We're going to finish there. What's the best way that people can reach you?
Yeah, come find me from Instagram, for example, or from Facebook. So I'm pretty active in Instagram. So I'm kind of documenting my female entrepreneurship story in Instagram. So find me in Instagram, Egle Raadik. Super easy. And I'd love to connect over there and share some philosophies of how to survive as entrepreneur.
Excellent. Right, guys, I'll be back here on Mindset Sunday. Egle, thank you for joining us again, guys. Thank you for joining. I didn't get to read out all of your messages. We've got 1 minute or so there. Let me just quickly see. Side B says, great story of persistence and resilience. Thanks for sharing. Tiff says, very inspiring story. Hasing says, thank you. Matt says, and breathe. Egle is a star, true motivation for people around her. Glad to see her succeed. Truly deserves it. Anne Ferris says, amazing. Alex Wyatt says, amazing to hear and everything that you have done. And I think we've covered most of those there. So quite good feedback there as well. Right, we're going to shoot. I'll be back here at 4 p.m. on Sunday BST. Take care, look after your family, and I'll see you all soon.
Bye-bye, everybody.